Welcome back. It's another week, another episode of the ASUN Gameday Podcast. A little different this week, but still that same energy, still the same energy. Kendra, how you feeling after week one of conference play?
Oh man, week one was awesome. I figured it was going to be. So I'm really excited to get through this show. A lot to talk about. First week of conference play. So yeah, it was awesome.
Oh yeah, well let's jump right into it. Just the analysis of the week, some highlights from men's and women's. Let's start with the women. We had Austin Peay starting 2-0 with wins against Bellarmine and EKU. FGCU defeats Jacksonville and North Florida to also start 2-0. We had Stetson that's 2-0, Lipscomb that's 2-0, Central Arkansas with that 21-point win against North Alabama. That was a highlight of the weekend on the women's side. And switching over to the men, EKU and Stetson both sitting at 2-0 right now. Kennesaw State survived a tough battle with Queens to remain undefeated at home this year. Lipscomb got a split to open league play. And UCA holding on to defeat North Alabama to start conference play 1-0. So shout out to the to the Bears there for that one. But just first week, what was the least surprising thing that happened? What was something that you saw that you were like, figure that would be that? That's just, par of the course, so to speak.
The least surprising thing, like I told you last week when we were going through the power rankings, I said EKU is that team. So I figured they were going to come out, they were going to start strong. They had a tough conference schedule. I believe I heard on the broadcast when I was watching the Lipscomb game that they had the 80th hardest ranked schedule or something like that. Not sure it was ranked by, but basically they came out and two statement wins, one over Lipscomb, one over Austin Peay, to start 2-0. So I wasn't surprised by that much. Isaiah Cozart came out, very much looked like that preseason defensive player of the year, is actually getting some consideration for player of the year with these two games. So yeah, I wasn't surprised by that at all. What about yourself?
It was EKU. That was on the men's side. That was the least surprising thing that I saw them
You
starting
sure?
out.
Because you had them six.
I had them 6 because they had 4 wins, so they definitely weren't playing the best going in the conference play. So, but I still felt like they were the best team. But you had to win the games. Like I can feel like you've got the numbers, the rebound, and the block shots. You've got the scores and all that kind of stuff. But you still got to win. And I think I was of the mindset that no matter how they started conference play, specifically their first game, I felt how they handled Lipscomb. If they were able to beat Lipscomb, the way they were able to beat Lipscomb was going to be able to silence a lot of the well-deserved critiques they were getting. I mean, you had 4 wins, several of those games in non-conference season. I feel like they probably should have won, could have won. So they let a few get away. I can think of 3 off the top of my head that they probably should have had. So they probably should have had, could have had 7 wins coming into conference play. So I think at that moment, I couldn't say that they were playing any better power ranking wise than teams that had 9 or 8 wins a week ago. But immediately when they start playing each other, all this gets blown up sometimes. So now, yeah, I mean, I did expect them to win, and they did what they needed to do. They handled business at home against Lipscomb and Austin Peay, and so that was, I think, for the men's, the thing that I saw that I wasn't like, okay, this is what I was expecting. Let's go, let's see, because they were, my pick for the top, the media, the coaches. EKU was number 1, so this was when they get to flex that preseason top ranking, preseason player of the year, preseason defensive player of the year. This is where EKU's going to shine against the other 11 teams in the conference. On the women's side, I think the least surprising thing was probably Central Arkansas women going on the road. But just by the number of wins they have, they are our most successful team on the road this season, men's or women's. They got 5 wins now on the road. So them coming into somebody's building is not, I don't think they're worried about it. I think this is a new UCA team this year. new coach, new attitude. We talked about it a little bit last week. They're just, handling business. So I was looking at that. I mean, outside of the obvious, the team in South Florida that we just, they doing what they're doing. I don't count that as least surprising or anything. That's just business as usual with FGCU. But UCA, I think that they did what I expected them to do. They know they would drop 83 on North Alabama, but I figured they would be able to go in there and get that win. You got anything else that did not surprise you, or are we going to go to the?
Well, as far as not surprising, I mean, UCA definitely. I thought, I don't want to say it's not so surprising because, UNA has always been a player when it comes to these each year that they've been here. They like to get out and run. So I wanted to see what Central Arkansas was going to do. Just as far as were they going to be able to come out, put up points as well, and new era, the Coach Kemper era. So I definitely wanted to see what it was going to be like and how those women would respond just in that up-tempo atmosphere, and would they be able to rise to the occasion, which they did. 83 points. I mean, that's very much rising to the occasion. So I still have to go because I feel like, just down in South Florida, on the women's side, FGCU, we don't give them their flowers enough, even though we give them their flowers a lot. They came out.
They don't need flowers. They're gonna get they get that trophy every year. They can care less about the flowers.
I mean, I understand that too, but sometimes you got to decorate the trophy case. So I'm throwing some flowers in there right now. Just came out two very big wins to start the season. So starting out 2-0, they had one victory against Jacksonville, the other, I believe, against North Florida. The North Florida win was, everybody got playing time.
The North Florida win was a win.
Yeah,
no doubt.
I believe just going into that North Florida win, they put up they put up a lot of points there as well. So that was one thing I expected.
Yeah, you expected. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's the boring one, I guess. So let's get to the
never boring.
I mean, yeah, but it's like, I wasn't surprised. It just, this is what I wanted to see. Now I need, now what's the thing that when you saw it that kind of caught your attention? I'll give you my first one. I'm going to start with women. EKU. I was surprised that they were held under 60 points again. I mean, it was a team averages 75 points per game. Now I get it. This is now, I think, the fourth or fifth game that they've been under 60, but they're trending in the wrong direction scoring wise. I think ultimately I get, you could win low scoring games, but I think when you're able to score at what you expect them to score, I think they will be fine. But when they're in these low scoring games, I think they have chances to take losses. I mean, now, they're coming out 0-2 in conference play, and this is a team that, you kind of thought would be pretty good. I think they'll be fine. I don't think they're like at the point where I'm looking at them like, they might, they look like a team that won't make the postseason. But I didn't expect them to go 0 for 2, and I don't think neither one of those games weren't really close. It was an interesting opening weekend for EKU.
And I have to agree with you there. I was of the same mindset. And one thing I will say is I knew this was going to be a tough week for them. Just coming in, starting off right at the bat. You're starting off with Lipscomb. And when we were going through our power rankings, Lipscomb was right there. Like, we were trying to figure out our top three. So we were moving things around based on, like, you had, I believe you had EKU too. I had Lipscomb too. But, we swapped on who was number 3. So we expected that first game. Like, we expected some fireworks there. And I feel like just expecting fireworks, it's not necessarily what we got. Just coming out in the new year, I wanted to see some fireworks.
Not there.
I was sad that Antoinette Walker didn't suit up for that particular game, and because I wanted to see them at full strength, just going strength for strength, just to see what was going to happen. And just going into that game, like Lipscomb had some people step up. Like you had Claire McGowan, she dropped 18 points. She was a force actually, and just getting to the line at that particular game, because one thing I just noticed in the first two games that they played, she very much was able to get to the line, just wreak havoc in the paint, just get down there. Like she had 9 free throws the first game. I believe she had 6 the second. So she's getting to the line almost at like a LeBron level, back in the day. So very much like Aaliyah Sorrentino had 16 points. She was doing work in the paint. Bella Vincent had 15. So when you say just being held to like around 50 points, I believe that first game they had 59 points, and you had Ivy Turner lead the way with 14 points, Alicia Recanati 11, and just the struggle to score points there. So I see what you're saying. Like as a team, that particular game, they shot 36% from the field, never good, 21% from three, so and 69 from the line. So I'm just like, yeah, they were struggling to score points. It was definitely like I seen like them missing Antoinette Walker, like you didn't really know where points were coming from, and they didn't even score a point or they didn't score a basket till like halfway through the first quarter. So it was very much a struggle. And then, you figure Antoinette Walker being in the lineup for the next game
Off the P
against
game, right?
Austin P. You figure, all right, they're finna right the ship. They're finna get things underway. And, Austin P is no slouch. So we knew that was going to be a tough game as well. And I figured, Antoinette Walker going, they really wanted to get that win because, you don't want to start 0-2 in conference play against Austin P and Lipscomb, two teams that you're going to be jockeying for position for, as
Right.
we get into playoff time. So,
Yeah, because I mean, you look at that first game and you say, now, first of all, let me get this out of the way. Credit to Lipscomb and Austin P. For handling their business, doing what they had to do. So as much as I can say, I'm surprised EKU didn't score. Hey, they shut them down. They did what they needed to do. But you look at that first game, the Lipscomb game, and you say, oh, well, this piece was missing. This potential player of the year scorer was not here. And then, like you said, she's coming to the next game. Okay. And then the next game, the impact isn't really there. So, it's early. We're 2 games in. But I think those were those games that we talked about this. Like you said, you're jockeying. Those are the top teams. You want to get one of those because that could be the difference between potentially having to go on the road early in the postseason if you were to make it, or getting a bye.
definitely. And I mean, it is early. You're right. It's just some things that concern me. Just even that second game against Austin P. And we know Austin P gets after it on the defensive end. Just them shooting 25% from the field as a team for a game, and then 25% from three. That's crazy. Like you had Antoinette Walker, she scored 20. So she did, but she did it on 7 of 22% shoot. I mean, 7 of 22 shooting. So it's not like, she was going out there and
An
was
efficient
fishing.
game.
Yeah, like she was struggling for buckets as well, and she was the only one in double figures for that team. So I'm very worried about where their points are going to be coming from, just as we get more and more into conference play. I would like to see that team step up between Antoinette Walker, you have Alicia, you have Ivy Turner, who I was a big fan of, or I am a big fan of, just going into conference play.
Because you know what they can do. Like
I know what they can
we've
do.
seen it. So
We just gotta see it on paper. We just gotta
yeah,
see it on
yeah.
paper.
And just going for, I guess, a more positive, most surprising thing. And and this most surprising isn't just extremely like, wow, again, we're early. I don't think there was one thing that just nobody saw coming that just blew my mind. But I will give credit to North Florida on the men's side. Uh, One win on the road coming into the
North
weekend.
Florida. Woo!
North Florida. I mean, they had one win on the road. They weren't great on the road. They had a 1 point loss to Stetson, which we pretty much agree Stetson's a pretty good team this year. And that was a game that
That was a game.
Jalen Blackman got loose. They held him. They kind of contained him the whole game. They had him in single digit scoring the whole game. He got loose at the end. They weren't able to make that shot at the end to potentially take the lead. So at one point lost to Stetson. And then you go to FGCU, and I get it. FGCU's got the injuries. We talked to Coach Chambers. They've got challenges. They did just beat the number 7 team in the country. And North Florida did go into that building and get a 20-point victory against FGCU, coming off the 1-point loss to Stetson. I think that's where I was thinking North Florida was before. I was impressed by that, and I say most surprising thing. I think it's just that impressed me. I didn't looking at that, I wasn't it was not unbelievable, but that Stetson game really showed me that North Florida's here to play this year. Anything on the men's side that caught you off guard, or you?
Not. I mean, there's some things that not necessarily caught me off guard, but there's some things that I definitely want to get into and talk about, things that we saw. But I have to double down on that, just from the North Florida standpoint, just watching the season and or just watching the season that is unfolds, and even looking at. I was looking at the preseason polls and, the media poll, we had 2 people that put North Florida as number 1. So I was like, okay, I don't, okay.
Maybe they know something we don't know.
I was like, okay. And then, conference play started and I was like, okay. But they definitely knew something that we did not know, because I would look at it just starting the season or starting conference play against Stetson. The first thing I said was, it was one game. I was like, is Stetson that team? Is Stetson that team that we thought they were? Because, I thought, got to put some respect on the name. I thought that, coming in, I put that in the win column, just looking at it. First week, I was like, okay, that's a win. Very much control of the game. They came in, got after it on defense. We know Jalen Blackman is a scorer. So I thought, okay, well, they have to control Jalen Blackman, but will they be able to do that? And they pretty much held him in check for most of the game. He went 3 of 13 shooting for the day. Unfortunately, just one of those shots was a game winner. So,
right.
And he got loose at the very end. They had him, they had him at the right corner, D'd up. Somehow he was able to get to the top of he was able to get to the free throw line and just freed up for that split second where, it was cash. So I was like, okay, they conceded that. Honestly, I believe that's one they should have gotten. But then they came into FGCU.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, all right, this is one for FGCU. But we were talking about last week. We were talking about, okay, they were able to go defeat FAU, but they had an overtime victory against FMU. So we don't really know what team FGCU is really gonna be. We don't know that. And they came in and it was a problem. It was definitely a problem. They came in, I don't want to say raining threes, birds of Trey. They came in,
right. They got their own hashtag down there.
They were shooting from everywhere, and it was Dunk City, and it was not a home team Dunk City. They were throwing lobs, Chaz Lanier, it was just everywhere. I was like, man, this is crazy. They're getting points however they want to, and 20-point game, it was never close. Just watching the game, it was never close.
It wasn't. That was a win. They probably could have had 2. I think they, like you said, they kind of let that Stetson one get away, but they weren't going to let that FGCU game get away from them. Just talking about close games, did the Queens Kennesaw State game? Does that give you more? Are you looking more of that okay, those teams just are a good matchup for each other? Or are you looking at that Queens may be better than we thought, or is KSU not what we thought? I mean, spoiler alert, the game of the week is tonight in men's basketball, and Stetson is coming into the Convocation Center. But going back to that Queens KSU game, that was another close one that came down to the end. What coming out of that are you looking at? Oh, they just play each other tough,
I'm gonna go with that. I'm not gonna throw the baby away with the bathwater. It is a sample size, so we will take that going in. Like I told you to start the season, I believe Kennesaw State, where I ranked them just to start in our first ranking, I don't believe they're going to end there. I believe they're going to get better as the season progresses. Um, Queens is always going to fight, So I mean, we've noticed that just in their short time being in the
Right. Yeah.
ASUN.
Even
So
last year, they were
yeah, they're
no
going to fight.
battle.
They're very
Yeah.
scrappy, and they very much fight against Kennesaw State. So Kennesaw State, like last year, they had that run to the NCAA tournament. It almost didn't happen. Kennesaw State, I mean not Kennesaw State, but Queens gave them a run. And I
I
believe
mean, they snapped the long winning streak.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, and that was in the
they
season. That was
That
during the
was in the
season that
season,
year.
and they played them again. And I think that quarterfinal game was, I think it was a 1 or 2 point game.
It was to the
I saw
wire.
in front of me, but it was very close. So yeah, and I kind of feel that same way. That matchup is just, I feel
Yeah.
like they were going to play them good. I think and for the majority of that game, I would say Queens was in control of it.
It was back and forth. It was definitely back and forth.
Back and forth.
It was definitely
I think in the second half, but like early, Queens was kind of up. KSU kind of had to find their footing, and once they started rolling and got that crowd behind them, then you saw, okay, here's KSU, and then like you said, back and forth. Then Queens came back, and then you get the end going back and forth. But that's a matchup I'm gonna be looking forward to the rematch.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that. I mean, definitely going into that game, like just looking at it because I was watching the game. Whenever they play, just get your popcorn and watch it. It's very much going to be a game. I know just starting out, like Kennesaw State actually started on a 14-2 run. So like they were just going back and forth. They were battling. Kennesaw State 14-2 run to start the game. Then Queens just came right back, went on an 18-5 run. And then just to close the first half, Kennesaw State went on a 12-0 run. So they pretty much took the lead just going into the halftime, which was 38-34. So it was just 3 runs right there that really told the story of the first half. So you would think that the game was really close. Teams were going back and forth. You were trying to figure out who was going to take control of the game. And Queens came out. And as you said, just going into that second half, went on a 23 run. And I was like, okay, it looks like they're really starting to take
Take control, yeah,
control of that game. But
and
the
because
problem is when Kennesaw State, when you have that championship moxie and that championship bravado,
it's
like
all about the bananas, man. It's all about the bananas, and the bananas travel.
the bananas travel.
Bananas travel.
The bananas travel. I mean, if you guys don't know, just the bananas in the student section, like whenever I see them, like like you hear you see the bananas, you hear the band, and you're just like, uh-oh, it's about to happen. And sure enough, it did. Terrell Burden came through, career high 28 points, 17 of those in the last 11 minutes of the game. So he stepped up. He did what he was supposed to do. He was our championship MVP last year, and he pretty much put the team on his back. Him and Simeon Cottle. Terrell Burden, 28 points, Simeon Cottle, 20. A lot of their points came from that duo. So it was very much a game. Like I very much had fun watching that game, and I was like, this is ASUN basketball.
Is that the best guard duo in the conference?
Ooh.
I think the 2 best guard duos are playing tonight.
You think so?
Jalen Blackman and Stephen Swinson.
I mean, I say that, but I got to put some respect on. Leland Walker and Comer down there at EKU. They ball out also. So I mean, right, I'm in there. I just got to throw them in there.
I'm
What's
not mad
up?
at that. I'm not mad at it. Throw them, yeah, they're in the convo. They're in the convo. They're definitely in the conversation. But yeah, that's hey, we've looked at everything that's happening. We're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, it's time for the power rankings. We're gonna just throw it out there. Another week, another chance to just stir the pot a little bit. So
Let's stir it.
We'll be right back with the power rankings.
Risk.
Welcome to the Atlantic Sun, where heart-pounding moments are born and where champions rise above, where speed defies limits and precision finds its mark, where millions of fans nationwide cheer for excellence, determination, and fairness, where public, private, and faith-based schools compete side by side, fostering sportsmanship and unity. Join us, Because we're not just a stop along the journey. The Atlantic Sun is the destination.
All right, we are back. It is time to stir the pot. Power rankings. Let's do men's first this week. Let's do men's, and I'll go first. I'll start things off. Number 6, I've got North Florida. I told you I was impressed. And, they're top 6 right now. This is a snapshot of where we are January 10th after a handful of games. But I got North Florida coming in at 6. 5 and 4 were interchangeable to me because they played the same exact teams. But I felt like Austin Peay did a little bit better in their matchups. So I got Lipscomb at 5 and Austin Peay at 4. Just because I think Austin Peay played a little bit better. Number 3 is EKU. 2-0 week, so they jumped up a lot. But again, it was expected for me, so they're coming in at 3.
At 3, man, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, they only got 6 wins, so they
the disrespect is real. Like, they're always gonna have less wins until probably like the second half. Like, by the time you put them at number 1,
no.
They're gonna be a clinch.
well, they got 6 wins. They have the same amount of conference wins as the team who's in number 1, so they will jump them if they beat them, or the other team starts losing and they have 4 conference wins and the other team still has 2. They can jump them, but right now I can't just say after watching their 2 games. True enough, they beat one team who's 5th in my power ranking, another team who's 4th. They're right. They're in there. They're in there, but they're 3 right now. They're 3. Things could change. Things could change tonight. I could do a power ranking every day. It's an ebb and flow. But 2 is Kennesaw State. They are 2 now because they did win. It was a tough game with Queens, but they won. Number 1 is Stetson right now. Stetson's my number 1 team. I think they're playing well now. Again, that could change in a couple of hours because I think that Kennesaw State Stetson game is one of those games that it's going to say a lot, and it also lets you see where these teams are. I mean, last year they went to overtime down in DeLand, and Stetson probably should have won that game, but neither here nor there. Had a great season. KSU had a great season. So here we are. Here's the matchup. Right now, my power rankings, that's 1 and 2. KSU 2, Stetson at 1. Kendrell, what you got?
I like it. I just have to say, I like your power ranking. It's getting a little better. It's getting a little better because, oh boy, last week he was wild.
Hey, they had 4 wins. You can't be that high with 4 wins.
So I see last week you had Kennesaw State at the 1. So that win to Queens, you were like, reevaluate.
It's the math. I think Kennesaw State got a chance to play 2 games and had 2 wins. But they had the 1 win that was. Now Stetson had the 1 win against the North Florida game was again that that could have won another. Well, I still take 2 over 1. But I don't think EKU's 2 was enough to jump where KSU already was from how they're playing. Now, again, they could still change. KSU could keep moving down. I mean, you lose to Stetson tonight, you lose to FGCU on Saturday, you will not be 2nd in the power rankings next week. Just saying.
Well, let me go into mine.
All right.
One thing we have to say is North Florida is here. So
okay.
At the
All
6, right. I have North Florida also. I had to go first when I was looking at my list and you had them at 6. I was like, okay. But then when I looked at my list, I only had 5. So I had to go back and I was like, okay, maybe they were 6. Maybe they were 6. So
right.
I have to just say that just because, just coming out of the gate, played a tough Hatters team, took the Hatters to the wire. Should have pulled that game out. Definitely lost on, a shot in the final seconds. I'm not mad there. They knew what they had to do. They came out, for all practical purposes, Jalen Blackman, they put the clamps on him, were able to make him work, made somebody else beat you. Stephon Swinson had 21 in that game. So, and then just came out South Florida, 20 points. They definitely put work in against FGCU, a team that it looks like is not in either of our top sixes going into this week, or just in our top rankings going into this week. So you see what they did to the Eagles down there in Fort Myers. But number 5, I have, who is my 5? 5, I have Austin Peay. And I believe that Austin Peay is dangerous. I just will say that. Like, I have them at my 5, but Austin Peay, they can win this thing. Just looking at that game against EKU, the last 2 minutes, it was a 2-point game. Honestly, I believe that if they can figure out what to do with Isaiah Cozart, they're winning that game. If they can figure out what to do with Isaiah Cozart, they could be winning this this tournament as we get into tournament play, because I believe that just going into that game, like, that was a very back and forth game, and just watching that game, like, you knew they were there for that particular game, because you had DeMarcus Sharp talking to the crowd, first bucket. It was like 2-0 talking to the crowd. You had Michael Marino. He came down the court, actually got a block on what I thought was a breakaway layup, came down court, blocked it, talking to the crowd. Like, this game had already ASUN championship, like, it just had that
energy.
It had that energy. Like, Austin Peay was like, okay, this y'all king? All right, bet. So I was like, okay, I'm really looking forward to them playing again. So I have them at the 5 right now. 4, I have Kennesaw State. So and they moved up. I believe Kennesaw State was my 5 last week. So this week they're actually taking my 4, just because they had a tough Queens, went up against a tough Queens game, or Queens team, and they did what they had to do. So that was my 4. I'm sorry, what was that? Yeah, that's my 4. Number 3, I still have Lipscomb. I know right now, I believe they're 1-1 on the year. Lipscomb, I just love the way they play. I believe, I don't want to say it because, but I believe that they're having some kind of minutes restriction on Darren Boyd. He's back in the lineup, because I seen he was only playing in like the low 20s. So once he starts to ramp up and once he starts to play more, I really would love to see what that offense is capable of, especially with Will Pruitt. Will Pruitt. So Will Pruitt's a bucket. So I definitely want to see what they do with them. I believe they had a newcomer of the week this week. One of their players. So yeah, they have a lot of players that are actually balling. Number 2, your number 2. See, this is where we merge. Your 2, I have. Well, your 1, I have at my 2, which is Stetson. Yeah. So Stetson is my number 2. I really love Stetson, and I'm just going to go back and just say it again. Stephon Swinson, just the way he handles the point, like, I love to see it. He came out against North Florida, got, again, 21 points. Usually he's dishing the ball, but they took Jalen Blackman away, stepped up. So, and then that one pass that I believe we put it on our social media, that one pass that he got to Oglesby, I was like, yo, that's what I like to see, because he's seen that. He was like, yo, if this dude doesn't like back up, he's just slicing down the court for an open shot, hit him, dunk. I was like, yeah, he does it. So between them, Gattaretzi, I like their team. I really like their team. I feel like, yeah, they all, especially from that North Florida team or that North Florida game, it was a team win. And I knew where most of their points were coming from, and they actually were able to switch it up. So I really like that. Props to Coach Donnie. That's my 2. And then number 1, second week in a row, the reason why, and you're moving up. Eventually, you're going to get there. You're going to see the vision because last week you had them at 6.
They had 4 wins
That's
last
crazy.
week.
That's just crazy.
They had
But
4
this week you
wins.
have them at 3.
Because they have 6 wins and they're 2-0 in conference play.
Okay. All right. Last week you had them at 6.
And they won.
This week you're seeing the light a little bit. You're like number 3. I still think that's crazy because when you come out week 1 and get a win against Lipscomb and you get a win against Austin P, like you have to look at it. And then you have Isaiah Cozart come out and give you 21 and 14 against Austin P. Like you have to recognize that. And then, when you go into your greatest backcourt duos and then you leave out Comer and you leave out Leland Walker, I'm like, all right, you don't know yet, but you're getting there.
I feel like EKU was fine. But again, looking at it, record-wise, Jacksonville was not a bad team. So you're not giving much credit to beating Jacksonville is what I'm getting out of this. Like
I'm looking at it just from a standpoint of we know what EKU was just coming in, like all of the firepower that they were bringing back, and they had a tough conference schedule.
We did know that they had a tough non-conference schedule, but they had to win the games. Like even so, because I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna bring up a name that's a little old. I'm gonna bring up Liberty last year because every week when I said Kennesaw State was the best team that is playing the best, I had to hear from people like Liberty. I know what Liberty is. I get what Liberty is. But playing right now, KSU, at that moment, KSU was playing better to me. And they beat them, and then they beat them again because I think the team was playing better. Now, EKU, I think, is the best team that we have. That's my pick. I think the size, I think the shooting that they have, I think they're the best. But they got to win the games. And when they win the games, I'll salute to them. But when we get to that game, depending on what I'm seeing. Now, I'm not saying that, and I don't think their guard play is their strength. So that's why I bumped that duo down a little bit as far as the guards, because I think that's the balance. I think Stetson has better guards and EKU has better size. The forwards and the defensive player of the year that they have, that's the battle I want to see. I want to see the two. Not to say that EKU can't shoot. Not to say that Stetson can't play defense, but that's the contrast. But I'm here for EKU at number 1 in the rankings. I'm not mad at it because that's the preseason rankings where I figured teams would be in March is EKU at 1. That's still true, but that's what I believe. Now, week to week, when we get there, we'll see.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I'm not mad at it.
You heard it here first. Williams' pick to win the championship is his number 3 pick in the power rankings.
On January 10th, yeah, they're number 3. Yeah. Right. They're number 3.
All right. What else you got for me?
We can jump right into women's. We can jump, and I have. Speaking of newcomers, I got 2 newcomers in my top 6 on the women's side. I had 2 people to fall out. It's what happens week to week. It's you gotta hold up week to week to get in there. But coming in at number 6, the true blue era has entered the chat.
Woo!
KSU number 6. I'm not mad at it. Hey, week to week, if you keep winning, you're in the building. But I don't think they're a bad team. They start off with a win. Good for them. Number 5, Central Arkansas is number 5. Good road win. The one game is why they're lower because they only had the one. Number 4, Stetson, and I know Stetson women's basketball doesn't move the needle in some people's minds, but they're always there. They're always in the mix. Like I just don't think that team. They're just gonna, like we talked about with Queens men's basketball. Stetson's gonna. They're gonna fight. They're gonna be there.
Fight. They're gonna claw.
Yeah. Number 3 is Lipscomb. I think that Lipscomb is. I think Lipscomb will be fine. Like I think Lipscomb is like I said last week, I think they're one of my teams that I felt like, from the preseason that I felt like was going to be the challenge to FGCU. They're both from the state of Tennessee. The other team is number 2 in my power rankings right now, Austin P. I think Austin P is if they can figure it out and get it going, they can be a problem. They were a problem last year. I think that they just, again, they had to figure it out because I think they started off really good against FGCU in that semifinal game, but FGCU is FGCU and pulled it out in the end. But they gave them a challenge. So I think they're aiming for that. They want to get that swing again, and I know we say it all the time. They're coming for the throne, but right now, after the way they won those first 2 games, the FGCU is number 1. They just dominated North Florida. I think that was the one that really was like, just a reminder. Not that anybody forgot we were here, but don't, like you said earlier, don't do too much talking around me. I'm still here. But yeah, so FGCU is one. That's my number 1 right now. Again, after saying they just the way that they are 2-0 right now is just like
so much volatility in your list. See, that's what I'm saying. Like,
because it's week to week. You got to be consistent.
So much change.
Well, it's got to change because this was the first week of conference play. This was the first week of games really mattering. So whatever you did against your non-conference schedule, it could carry over in the sense of a team that continued to win, an FGCU or an Austin P that are still up there. It could change when you get to conference play. You could have been EKU, and now you're 0-2. Are they, just in fairness, after going 0-2, they're not in my power rankings. And they were very high in mine. We were talking about them being up here potentially. I know I was. So, you know what I'm saying? It's volatility because this is what we love to see. So it can be consistent, but it clearly could jump after the first week of them actually playing meaningful games. And when I say meaningful, I mean like jockeying for their postseason position, trying to make the cut. So I guess you got the same 6. Since I had too much volatility, you got the same.
I was looking for some things to shake out. Like definitely just going into week 1, I had a lot of 6s.
Right. Some of those 6s can't be 6s anymore.
Some of those 6, no. I got a list now. I have a coherent list. Because it was too much going on. It was too much for me to figure out at that time. But this week, number 6, I have Stetson. I have Stetson at the 6. One, because they started out 2-0 this week, so they did what needed to be done. I initially, like probably right before this segment started, I had Kennesaw State at the 6, but then I was like, nah, I'm gonna put Stetson there. Kennesaw State's my 7, so they could slide in, or they're my 6-1. I mean, they're my 6A or 6B. So, but I'm gonna have Stetson at the 6, just primarily because they came out two wins. They started out with the win against Jacksonville, the win against North Florida. So they did what they had to do, even though that North Florida win, I will say. Because just watching that game, I believe that last minute shot that Lyric Swan hit, I don't believe that was a foul. I believe that her defender was still moving when she went up and shot that shot, and she kind of moved in under her. They called it an offensive foul. I honestly thought that was legit. I thought that was straight. I don't know how that game would have turned out if she would have hit that shot. So could have changed up my top 6. But we have Stetson at the 6.
The Jacksonville game, Jacksonville made that game interesting at the end of it too.
Yeah, Jacksonville, they did make that game interesting. And just one, I have Stetson at the 6 just because that defense is pesky. I believe that they're going to make any game fight. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing I had to just come out and just say, okay, they're number 6 this week, just based off of that. And they did what they needed to do. At the end of the day, when the shot clock hit 0, they were victorious both games. So EKU, 5. This is your number one from last week. Just want to put that out there. This was your number one from last week.
They were. And volatility.
So this is my 5 because I believe that they have the talent, even though they started out 0-2. There's probably some teams that didn't win a game that we could have put in there or what have you. But yeah, they're still in my top. They're still in my power rankings just because the talent is there. The talent is undeniable. When you look at their roster, everything's there. I just believe that they just have to figure out a way to put the ball in the basket. So we'll see that going into this week. Hopefully they rectify that and the Colonels get to going where they're supposed to be going. Number four, I still have Central Arkansas. They had one game last week. And it was against North Alabama. They came out, and I really wanted to see how it was going to work because North Alabama has been traditionally good. I know our non-conference schedules, usually they can be tough. So once they started playing each other, I wanted to see how good really was Coach Kemper and everyone over there in Arkansas. So they came out first week, 80 points or 80 plus points. So they did what they had to do. Everybody looks strong. So I'm very excited for that team playing other teams. So I'm looking forward to them wrecking the league. Number 3, this is where we split. So our top three is looking very similar. But I have Austin Peay as number 3. And I have Austin Peay as number 3, just one because I have to go back and one team I didn't shout out enough when we were going through those surprises and everything. Bellarmine played strong their first week of non-conference play. They definitely played strong. They almost got a dub against Austin Peay. I believe it was like 65-63, somewhere around there. I know it was a 2-point game. So that, and then they came back. They played EKU. They played an EKU team with Antoinette Walker and balled out. So they're my 3 right now. The reason why they're my number 3 is because unlike you, I can't do the volatility too much. Until you beat the team, or unless something really bad happens, I'm like, okay, Lipscomb's my number 2. And Lipscomb's my number 2 because they did what they needed to do. As we said last week with non-conference play, like, it wasn't really flashy. It wasn't fancy. They didn't really have the signature wins that we wanted to see during non-conference, or some big wins that we wanted to see during non-conference play, but they did what they had to do. Did what they had to do here as well. So they're my number 2 team. And, as we go into the season, they figure some things out. They start to look stronger. Who knows? But until then, 2. And then number 1, we agree there. The consensus is FGCU. Dominant performances, both matches. Like I said before, Jefferson down there looking really strong. I believe she had like a 21.9 rebound, 6 assist performance, like their first game in conference play. They look really good. So
oh yeah,
I'm excited for that. But there's some games that I'm definitely going to be watching. Like when they match up against Central Arkansas, I'm definitely going to be watching that. When they match up against Lipscomb, I'm definitely going to be watching that, and Austin Peay as well. So that is my 1. That is my power ranking.
Hey, I'm all for it. I mean, definitely games to watch. I think we agree. FGC was number 1. I think women's
took you a while to get here. I'm proud of you.
It took 1 week. It took 1 week. That
was 1 week too many.
Yeah, but I mean, at the time, how impressive had they? I mean, they hadn't really been just like, oh, they're head and shoulders above everybody. Like
they are now.
Yeah, now they will be because they're playing. Like, it's just hard to do it's hard to rank before they actually play each other, because I can't go, now that I see you playing each other and see what you're doing, like I can't just put you up there like, you lost by 40, like, but it's exciting. That's what we're here for. Yeah, the power ranking. So games to watch for this week. We've got a few of them, but first I got a second to sit down talk with Austin Peay women's basketball head coach Brittany Young. Got her thoughts on the 2-0 start Austin Peay has had to conference play and just the state of women's basketball across the Atlantic Sun Conference. So right now we'll jump to that conversation I had with Coach Young. Then we'll be back with matchups to watch on the ASUN Gameday Podcast. I'm here with Brittany Young, head coach, Austin Peay women's basketball. Coach, how you doing?
Man, doing great, William. Thank you for reaching out. Always great talking with you. Like I said, just the support for the women's game whenever we can have it. Man, we're so thankful for it. So good to see you again, and Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you as well. So congratulations on the 2-0 start to conference play. But first, I want to go back to the non-conference season. Had some big wins, obviously some games that were close, probably wanted to be wins. What were you able to I guess, carry over from non-conference into conference play?
Yes, I think we were definitely tested in the non-conference, just being honest, and it was by design. We didn't schedule lightly at all. Even, our non-Division I opponents, teams that, have won a lot of games and play deep into their season. And we did that on purpose, knowing that there may be some games that are close and there weren't really many give me games and things like that. We really had to fight to earn it. And we definitely earned our stripes and lost some close battles, had, one or two big wins. But I think overall, just getting the team to continue to buy into trusting the process and staying the course, and understanding that although we lost some games, that if we just continue on the path that we're on, that good things will continue to happen for us in conference play.
Yep, most definitely. Shamari Hale, back-to-back double-doubles against Bellarmine and EKU, earned our first player of the week. Talk to me about her impact that she has on the floor for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's anyone who watches us play. I mean, it's no secret. You can't have a kid about 6'3" and that dominant in the paint that you don't play through. If I wasn't doing that, I probably wouldn't be here very long if that was the case. But Tank is a young lady that we've challenged. We challenge her on a regular basis to continue to be the best version of herself, both on and off the court. And I think that she's in a good place right now. Just so excited for her. If I would have saw it before we left practice yesterday, we would have enjoyed that and celebrated that with her, but I didn't see it until last night. But I think it's just a great award for her, and just, with her past and her background and everything she's had to overcome, I just think it's tremendous for her. And I hope that it keeps her hungry and help her to realize that she can do more. Like she can't be satisfied. There's more out there, and she just has to put her head down and go get it.
Mm-hmm. So coming up, obviously first two wins, but you've got North Alabama, Central Arkansas coming up on the schedule. Two teams that you were successful against last season, but this is your first time on the road since December 2nd. So outside of a team being new year to year, also you guys have been at home for over a month. What are the challenges that come with that after being at home for so long, going on the road and taking on conference opponents?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. Our schedule, we really didn't plan the schedule like this originally. We lost some games late in the off season last year, and had to pick up games in such a way that the month of November, we were almost on the road for the entire month. The month of December, we're home the entire month. So what being home did that was really good for us is I think it allowed us to find our rhythm. Like that home court advantage has been really, really good for us this last month and a half, and has allowed us to get it to a good place. But now, like you said, now we've got to go back on this road and get battle tested. And I think the thing about it, you're talking about the success of last year, but you said it right after, this year, it means nothing. New teams, new programs change and adjust every year. Central Arkansas, new coaching staff, Style of play is a little bit different. North Alabama style of play is the same, but new pieces. So then it changes a little bit. The chemistry is different. The movements are still a little bit different. The pace is a little bit different. So all those things matter. And for those reasons, they're why, we don't really talk to our teams a lot about things that happened in the past. Mm-hmm. The message has been the same. We've got to figure out a way to be 1-0 on Thursday, finish that one, and then focus on trying to be 1-0 on Saturday. And other than that, you cannot look ahead or look behind, because that's when it catches up with you.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad you said that, because that's something I did want to touch on. Looking at UCA, 9 wins already. They had all year last year. You look at Bellarmine, who's playing tough this year. Queens, who is having a good year. I mean, these are all teams who weren't in the postseason last year that are right in the thick of things. I know it's early, but still, you can see the growth and the change in the. I guess, what does that say about the level and the quality of women's basketball across the whole Atlantic Sun Conference?
Yeah, I think there's no question it's going up. I think there's no question that it's going up this year. To me, there are no there are no give me's. There's not. Like, you're going to have to go out and earn it every single night. And for me, just being a competitor myself, like, I love it. I love it for our team, because it keeps them consistent and it keeps them steady. You can never have, and you should never have that mindset anyway. But for young people, it's hard sometimes. Like, sometimes it's easy to kind of, drift off a little bit and lose focus and say, well, tonight isn't the big game. Mm-hmm. And no, every night's the big game. If you don't think that way, you're going to slip up and it's going to catch you. And we just don't want to be that team. I talked to the team about the fact that, the first week of conference play was going to happen. And when we finished Saturday after that game, after the last team played, and we looked at it, you're going to have some teams that are 2-0, 1-0, 1-1, and 0-2. And where do you want to be? And this week we were where we wanted to be, but now that week is gone. Like, it's gone. And now we've got to figure out a way to be 2-0 again this week. And I love it, because I really, really think it just keeps us focused and gives us a chance to lock into a new goal every week.
Locked in. Well, it definitely was an exciting first week conference play. We got several more coming. So I think it's going to be a very exciting season. So again, congratulations on the good start. Can't wait to see what ASUN P does this year, and we'll be talking to you soon. You're becoming a common guest for us here on the podcast. So it's just like,
I love it. I told you, I love it. Hopefully it'll be momentum will build where it will be a big game. We can talk again that really counts, and really means something like it was last year. Because again, it's just great for the sport of women's basketball as a whole. And this conference is going to be a tough one this year. So I know we'll be chatting about it again soon.
Oh yeah. Well, good luck. And like you said, we'll talk soon. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, William. Take care.
You too. We are back. Always great to talk to Coach Young. Gives a lot of energy. Excited to see what ASUN P does this season. So matchups to watch. I've got 2 on the women's side. I probably got 2 that I want to look at on the men's side that have my attention. But on the women's side, game of the week Thursday, Lipscomb at Central Arkansas. We've already talked about Central Arkansas and Lipscomb, just Central Arkansas being a team that's, that new culture, putting it on people this year. Really just a growth. I think I mentioned that to Coach Young, just looking around and seeing these teams that were not even in the postseason last year, right now in the mix of things. UCA, you've got Bellarmine playing well. Queens is right there in the mix. So want to see what Lipscomb, a team that we know what they've been, how good they've been, going on the road to Central Arkansas, keeping an eye on that game. And also I gotta say, Saturday, Jacksonville and North Florida, it's the River City Rumble. I mean, you see on the schedule, and this is a River City Rumble with 2 first-year head coaches. So I know both of them want to be able to be like, yeah, I got that first one with the crosstown rival. I think that should be a good game. I think that should be a good game. Both teams had a tough opening weekend, so they're looking for that win. So you get that first win of conference play. You get that first win in the rivalry for the 2 first-year head coaches. I think that's going to bring a lot of energy to that rivalry this weekend. So, any women's games, Kendrell, that you circling on your calendar? I know you locked in, you front row seat.
I'm always front row seating it. So from that couch. But that being said, like, I'm gonna double down on those again. Lipscomb at Central Arkansas Thursday. That is definitely a match I want to see because I feel like I wonder, first thing it's going to tell me, like, is Central Arkansas, are they a team that is arriving or are they here? That's what I want to see from that game. So that's going to be a really big game. Coach Kemper in his first year has those women down there playing. The Sugar Bears have the Sugar Bears down there playing. So I'm definitely interested in that matchup. And Lipscomb's going to be on the road. So yeah, they're going to be in away. Well, they're going to be away. So they're going to be the away team. I'm very much looking forward to that game. So I'm going to be front row for that. Front row, River City Rumble. Definitely want to see this game. Coach Lambert versus Coach Jennings. I want to see how this is going to work out. I want to see who's going to get that first dub. Again, as you say, in the crosstown matchup. So I'm very excited about that. One, I like North Florida. I like the way that they space the floor. So I like how you have Brewerman down there getting buckets. You feed it to her. Once she has you on that shoulder, she's turning buckets left, right, doesn't matter. She's a bucket. You have Lyric Swan out there on the perimeter, threes. That little pull up that she has from the top of the key, or not the top of the key, but from the free throw line. Love to see it. And then you have Kayla Rouget, who is just a magician with the ball. Love to see her play. So that being said, have Jacksonville. Very interested to see what they have. You have newcomer Eden Battle. Very interested to see what she brings to that matchup. So I'm excited. I'm excited for those two matchups. So either way.
Okay. On the men's side, I think we touched on it a little bit earlier. Actually tonight, Stetson at Kennesaw State, game of the week. I think that there's right now winning streaks on the line. Two teams who are playing well. Just getting a chance to see them go at it. See if Stetson can snap the new streak that Kennesaw State has started since they took that loss to Queens last year. They're undefeated at home this year. The reigning champion still. That game that Stetson kind of let get away on their home court last year, getting the chance to probably get back. So I think it's set up to be a good matchup. Hopefully we get a good game, regardless of who wins in that game. And also a game on Saturday, EKU at North Alabama. North Alabama's coming off that. It was a closer game in the end, but Central Arkansas was pretty much in control. Then they were coming back and they were close to getting that win. I think North Alabama, we're trying to see where they are this year. Did they take a step back, or are they going to be? I mean, they had an amazing year last year, and they continue this rise with Coach Pujol, and this is a rematch of a postseason game last year that EKU kind of really took care of business in. So I think there's a chance that, with UNA trying to get that win. And then EKU going on the road. Now, I know by the time this game has happened, they would have already played on the road against Central Arkansas. EKU hadn't won a road game this season. So I think this weekend for EKU, just to see, again, where's your number one team in the power rankings? Are they, we got to go on the road and do something you hadn't done this year yet. That's why you potentially come in lower the power rankings. You're going to have to win on the road at some point. Now, you could be fine and do what you got to do and host the postseason, but you want to be able to go in somebody's building and just know that you can get it done. So I think that the EKU Central Arkansas game before that will be entertaining as well, but I'm really looking for the EKU North Alabama game because, again, those are two teams that were in the postseason, two teams that made it to the CBI last year. Kind of want to see where they're at. So you got anything else, or you you locked in on your number one team against Florence.
Locked and loaded. I will say, like, I will apologize on their behalf for them not being able to beat Purdue at home. I mean, on the road. I will apologize for them not being able to beat I apologize for that. Because apparently, like, that's, man, woo, you are a tough critic. But with that being said, this game tonight between Stetson and Kennesaw State, like, I'm, again, front row seat from that. So I got my seat ready. I don't know what I'm going to eat. I don't know what I'm taking to the game. Like, I'm not going to be there, but, I don't know if I'm going to be eating Chipotle. I don't know if I'm going to be doing the Jimmy John's. I don't know what I'm going to be doing, but front row, ESPN Plus, I am there. So I'm definitely going to be looking forward to this game, Stetson at Kennesaw State. As you say, the backcourts, I'm very interested to see what those backcourts do against one another. I don't know if they're able to take advantage of that size mismatch. You have Cottle, you have Blackman, you have Stephon Swinson, who is not a small guard. So I'm definitely interested to see what happens there. You have Damon Williams, you have Alec Oglesby. I want to see, I name all of those players because that's like 6 players I name. There's going to be a 7th player that steps up in this game that's going to decide this game tonight. So I'm very interested to see who that 7th person is. I'm definitely going to come next week, talk about it on the show, but they're getting ready tonight. Somebody's putting on their kicks right now, and they're going to be that 7th guy because we know what those 6 are going to do, but that 7 is going to determine the game.
That's fair. And for your EKU, I get it. They had Alabama. They had Purdue. They also had Greensboro, Louisiana, and Troy. So let's not
talking too much.
All right. Real quick before we wrap up, just we've seen 1 week of conference play. Give me your prediction for the final. Give me the 2 teams. Let's start with women.
Ooh. Right now, man.
Yeah, just
that's crazy.
It should be your 1 versus 2, right?
I wish you would have hit me after this game on Thursday between Central Arkansas.
Yeah, I would love to have to decide this after. Yeah, give me another week. But no, we're gonna do it early.
Right now, I'm gonna go. Ooh, man, and with Austin Peay. Right now, I'm gonna stay with my 1 and 2. I'm gonna go FGCU Lipscomb on the women's side.
I'm gonna go FGCU Austin Peay, and I'm going with that game being at Fort Myers.
Okay.
Man, what you got?
Stepping out on that ledge. I see you.
Yeah, the prediction's got to be where it's going to be too.
Okay.
It's going to be one of those places. So who you got for me?
On the men's side, I have EKU all day, and then I'm going to go with that 2 is going to be tough. But that 2 as of right now, I'm gonna stick with Stetson.
That's my pick. I think it's EKU Stetson. I mean, I think that game is in Richmond. That's my prediction right now. So we only disagreed on who will be playing on the other side of the women's game, but we both locked in on EKU and Stetson. So we will see. We might revisit this sometime in February. We might get a chance to adjust, but we got this on the record. That first initial prediction, we got it out there. So obviously more games to be played, more volatility in the power rankings. Everybody's trying to jockey for those 10 positions on the men's and women's side. We love to see it. ASUN Gameday Podcast. I'm William Hall Kendrell Watkins. Catch you all next week.
Peace.